we have a storm alert tonight as Hurricane Francis roars into Florida. I'm Paul Goodlow.
And I'm Jennifer Lopez. The hurricane has been whipping up the winds here across West Palm Beach. This is a little bit farther inland. You can see the intercoastal there off in the distance. Wind speeds within the past 2 hours have been as high as 74 miles an hour. And again, the eye wall just to the east.
Let's give you the latest coordinates on Hurricane Francis. We are expecting an update coming up probably within the next, say, 50 minutes or so. As of 8 p.m., 105 mile per hour sustained winds, Category 2 hurricane moving towards the west-northwest at 5 miles per hour. It continues to get closer and closer towards the Florida coast. Now, looking at this, we have the radar showing the strong bands of rain and heavy rain, which continues to sweep on through central and south Florida, but also the numbers. Those are the sustained winds recorded in some locations. Talking about around West Palm and Melbourne earlier, sustained winds were well over 40 miles per hour. We're talking about this is tropical storm force winds, sustained winds, a little bit lighter as you head on towards South Florida. Again, rain, a huge concern. West Palm, nearly 5 inches. Even the Miami area, well over an inch of rain, and more rain is in the forecast. Flood watches up and down the state of Florida.
And we have complete team coverage of Hurricane Francis. Our storm tracker Jim Cantore is in Palm Bay near Melbourne. Mike Seidel is in West Palm Beach. Stephanie Abrams is up the coast in New Smyrna Beach. And Jeff Morrow is also in Orlando.
And up first is our storm tracker Jim Cantore. He's been battered by wind and rain from Francis all day long. And Jim, you're in Palm Bay, not too far from Interstate 95. I'm curious, have you noticed any traffic at all today as Hurricane Francis continues to inch closer to shore?
Absolutely not. I mean, you could go out there and walk the whole interstate without even having to worry about getting hit by a car today. There's just not anybody out and about tonight, and that is a very good thing. We don't want people out tonight. I'll tell you, Paul, one of the weird things that's been happening here in the last hour or so is these pulsing winds. I mean, right now they'll be calm. All of a sudden, this huge gust will come up. We may have just gusted to about 70 miles an hour, one of our strongest winds so far today, and that is inland. We know that the beach has taken quite a beating, and earlier today when there really wasn't much wind here at Palm Bay, I got a chance to go 6 miles to my east to Indian Atlantic Beach and watch how this trip unfolds. Meteorologist Jim Cantore, we have decided to leave Palm Bay, which is 6 miles inland, and take this amphibious vehicle to the coastline to see what a difference 6 miles can make. It's currently noon, and we have come across the bridge now. Winds easily gusting over 55 miles an hour. I can't even open my eyes because the rain is stinging my face. It is just 7 minutes after the hour of 12 o'clock, and we are in Indian Atlantic Beach, and what a difference. Winds sustained here well over tropical storm force, 50 miles an hour, occasionally gusting over 60 miles an hour. Very, very dark out over the Atlantic. Looks like more banding getting ready to come on in, and look at the ocean. It's just all white here, all foamy. Waves just coming in, and look at the beach erosion as well. Some of this sea foam coming all the way up here to the boardwalk and the sea oats. And that's another thing we're going to have to watch out for, too. We're going to have to watch out for water rise as this storm, now 90 miles offshore, makes its way even closer. As we come back to the mainland here, we have seen at least 24 boats that have broken loose from their moorings. This sailboat here all the way now to the coast, banging up against the rocks and the dock, just taking a tremendous beating here. And we haven't even gotten into the worst of this thing. And we haven't. As a matter of fact, since we left there, 75 to 85 mile an hour winds have been battering the boats. They lost power a long time ago, and we continue to see sporadic power outages here where I am in Palm Bay. Let's go up the road a piece, about 80 miles. Well, I'll tell you, there's a lot of squalls moving on the coast right now. My partner Stephanie Abrams is in one of them right now.
That's for sure, Jim. The wind has really picked up. We took a wind reading here on the instrument that we have, and we got a gust of 49 miles per hour. The rain is coming in. We are seeing just spritzes of it. It's not very heavy right now, but the wind is just a big problem as of right now. Behind me, it is black. That's because all the power is out. We've seen several transformers exploding in the air. We have power lines down. Everyone, fortunately, is hunkered down, and they are off New Smyrna Beach. There's about 70% of the people have evacuated. I'm having trouble standing right now, and it does look like conditions are going to get worse before they get better here in New Smyrna Beach, Florida. Jim, I believe I'm sending it back down to you. We got to get inside for a second here.
All right, Steph. Yeah, definitely be safe. Err on the side of safety. That's exactly what we want you to do. Let's bring in our hurricane expert now, Dr. Steve Lyons. Steve, it seems like things have really picked up here north of where the center is coming in. what can we expect for the next several hours, not only here, but also down toward Palm Beach as well?
Blustery weather indeed, strong winds gusting very high, and the impacts are going to last a long time, Jim. And the problem with that is the longer the wind lasts, the more likely it is to do some damage. It's like hoisting a flag in strong winds. If you do it for 15 minutes, you take it down, no problem with the flag. If you do it for 2 days, you take it down, the flag is in shreds. We're going to see some impacts here in the Florida Peninsula that could last 48 to 60 hours. That's primarily in the form of rain, and if you include the Florida Panhandle, the overall rain may not be out of here until 72 hours from now. So heavy rain impacts, damaging winds, and battering waves along the beach, and coastal erosion is the same thing. The longer you have the winds at the coast eroding it, the more erosion occurs. And right now we have some battering waves basically from Melbourne to Palm Beach. The wave action is running about 20 to 25 feet. And on top of that, we have a surge running about 10 feet, as high as 10 feet in some locations. So we have in some locations here, somewhere between St. Augustine and down here toward Fort Lauderdale, some severe beach erosion going on. And the duration of the event is one of the primary reasons is severe beach erosion in some locations is going to occur. So that's a real problem going into the next 24 to 36 hours. Now, once we get inland, now the duration of the event becomes a rain problem. The longer the system is over the area, the longer it can rain, and the more rain we get out of it. And that's going to be going from wind and surge at the beach and beach erosion to rain and flooding event as it comes across the Florida Peninsula. And then there is a chance for it to come out here and re-strengthen a little bit, but we don't think it'll come back to hurricane strength in the Panhandle. We think it'll remain a tropical storm. The reason is it's going to take a long enough time to come across the peninsula. It will weaken down to a storm and then be accelerating slowly to the north and not have enough time to come back. So very, very interesting storm indeed, but a lot of impacts still yet to come, especially in the form of rainfall in Florida. Paul, Jennifer.
We still have very much more to come and talk about with Hurricane Frances.
And the powerful system has been blowing down power lines and knocking out the power to more than 1 million people statewide. In Broward County, 242,000 are without power. Miami-Dade County, up to 88,000. And in Palm Beach, almost 500,000 people are without electricity tonight.
Stay tuned. Your local on the 8s coming up next.
And our coverage of Hurricane Frances continues tonight from Palm Bay. Some of the strongest winds so far today. Inland now. Remember, I'm inland 6 miles from the beach. They're taking some serious lickings on the beach right now around Melbourne Beach and down towards Sebastian Inlet. And as Stephanie showed, even up toward New Smyrna Beach as well. Let me show you the tides. This is going to be an issue, too. Do not go out near the beach tonight. You're going to see water rise here as this thing continues to move onshore. And it could very well rise quite a bit around 2:56 a.m., 3:45 p.m. tomorrow. It'll probably rise again as well. Winds, remember, will still be out of the southeast, and our low tides are going to be 9:57 and 10:28. The water, definitely not the place you want to be. And speaking of the water, after all is said and done, folks, I'm afraid to say there is going to be a serious beach erosion problem on many areas of the central coast of Florida. We'll keep you posted from Palm Bay. Right now, let's go back to Paul and Jennifer.
Thanks, Jim. Well, the effects of Hurricane Frances have been felt all day long further down the coast.
And meteorologist Mike Seidel has been out there since this morning. He tells us how conditions have been changing.
We are still getting hurricane-force wind gusts tonight here in the Palm Beaches. Earlier today, winds clocked as high as 90 miles an hour, along with so far 5 inches of rain. We could easily see 5 to 10 more inches of rain. A lot of debris across the city tonight. Surf has been breaking 12 to 15 feet out on the beaches, and in the intercoastal earlier today, we saw many boats floating down the waterway without their owners. Mike Seidel, the Weather Channel, West Palm Beach, Florida.
Well, our storm alert continues in the next half hour. We'll talk to our severe weather expert, Dr. Greg Forbes.
That's right. A tornado watch has been posted for Central and North Florida. We'll give you an update on that. Meanwhile, earlier today here in Lake Worth, that's close to the Palm Beach area, West Palm Beach area, we have been dealing with some very strong winds. They were as high as 67 miles an hour.
Gusts of 60 to 75-mile-per-hour winds continue to batter south central Florida tonight. Let's go up the road a piece, about 8 hours, and 80 miles, I'm sorry, and Stephanie Abrams is standing by. Stephanie, you're in one of these strong bands right now. Give us an update.
Well, Jim, you were talking about hurricane force winds down south of us. Here we're feeling the tropical storm force winds, and just recently it's been pretty consistent here blowing through. I took a wind observation. I got a wind gust of 49 miles per hour. That's not sustained, that's just a gust, but it is definitely breezy through here, and the rain has also constantly been coming in as well. That's something we haven't seen throughout the day today. It's been pretty dry here, but we do anticipate heavy rain to start moving through the area. We have had a couple squall lines through the day today, but this is the first time we've actually seen more consistent rain moving in fast and horizontally, Jim. It's just going to get worse before it gets better here in New Smyrna Beach, Florida.
That's exactly right, Stephanie. Thank you very much for that update. It's going to be a long night there, down here in Palm Bay, Melbourne, Sebastian Inlet, all the way down to Palm Beach as well, as this thing just continues to move on shore. Well, let's go inland a little bit. If you will, Stephanie is up in New Smyrna Beach. I'm down here in Palm Bay. Then we go on the other side of the triangle. Jeff Morrow's about 75 miles to my northwest in Orlando. Jeff, are you seeing some of these bands coming your way as well?
Yeah, Jim, we are. We've seen several of them. As a matter of fact, in the last hour, we've had some pretty good wind gusts. At least at the Orlando International Airport, we've had wind gusts well up over 50 miles an hour. I'd have to estimate here between the buildings. You know how wind tends to get funneled between big buildings, and we have had some winds probably here in the 40 to 50 mile an hour range. It is absolutely a ghost town. For such a major city here, over 1.5 million people, I got to tell you, the streets are completely deserted except for some emergency vehicles and some police cars, and that is exactly the way they want it. And we talked a little bit earlier to one law enforcement official about the curfew.
There is a curfew in effect for this evening. It starts at 9 p.m. tonight, will go through 6 o'clock in the morning on Sunday, and then that same curfew is in effect again for Sunday evening, 9 to 6 a.m. Monday. And again, just asking residents to please stay calm. If you do have an emergency, call 911. If you need storm information, you can call the Citizens Information Line, and we're going to ride it out together.
All right, and we'll be giving you that Citizens Information Line coming up here in just a bit. But, Jim, again, it is going to be a windy and stormy night. Some of what you're getting at the coast will be coming through here probably for the rest of the night and on into the day tomorrow. Jim?
That's exactly right, Jeff, and some of this stuff, too, will be making its way over to the Charley-battered areas of Fort Myers and up toward Tampa as well. So it's just unbelievable, folks. And I know there's 2.5 million of you that have evacuated, but you just got to hang out and hang in there, because we'll let you know and obviously keep you informed as to what's happening down here. Right now, again, a lot of the damage is minor at best, so that's a good thing. We've got power outages, trees down, power lines and whatnot, and we'll obviously keep you posted as the night goes on. Hopefully this thing will just continue to move on shore and eventually weaken. Back to you guys.
Thanks, Jim. This just in. Actually, the National Hurricane Center is saying the western eye wall of Hurricane Frances is slowly moving on shore across coastal Martin and St. Lucie counties. A recent report from the Martin County Emergency Management indicated a beachside weather center reports winds of 80 to 85 miles per hour as the eye wall moved on shore. Reports have been received of downed trees and trees on homes and power lines across Martin County.
And we are going to continue to update you. Here we are in West Palm Beach as the winds just continue to batter the area throughout the day. And as Hurricane Frances continues to pound the Florida's east coast, we're seeing the threat of tornadoes increase. A tornado watch posted for central and north Florida until 8 o'clock tomorrow morning. Let's find out more with our severe weather expert, Dr. Greg Forbes.
And Greg, looks like the eye wall is just now coming on shore in Florida. Now, with an eye wall coming on land, does that pose any special risk for severe weather?
There could indeed be a few tornadoes in the eye wall overnight tonight, Paul, as well as those rain bands off farther to the north and west of the eye wall. We have quite a number of those coming into Brevard County, and they're beginning to intensify a little bit even inland, coming in toward Orlando. So anywhere from the northwest side of the eye wall up into interior Florida, they're off to the right front quadrant, that's off toward the northwest of the circulation center. You could have tornadoes tonight. Now, heavy rains as well. Where have the heaviest rains today been? Well, they've really been offshore. They've been in this eye wall, and that hasn't really made land yet off on this right side. There's going to be a long period of time overnight tonight toward morning and tomorrow when that goes across Palm Bay, over across Kissimmee. And so we've got a lot of rain to go, and we've had about 5 inches already out ahead of this. That's the other threat then, is really going to be torrential flooding rains over a long period of time with up to 12 to 18 inches right in that corridor where I was just drawing that little track across there, and 6 inches in a number of other places. Paul?